Hello everyone, I'm R834 from PsychicGamers, and I haven't done one of these in a while. This is R834's Road to Platinum, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. In a little bit I'm going to be talking about single player, and to represent that I wanted to show some single player gameplay. Now the only real bit of gameplay I have of Modern Warfare 3's campaign is of the final mission on Veteran, and that's what you're going to be seeing in the background. It's all cut up so you don't see any of my deaths, so if it looks a little bit choppy in places, that's why I've just cut it down to the checkpoints. But obviously, as I just said, this is the final mission, so if you still, for whatever reason, haven't finished Modern Warfare 3 and you want to play through it without knowing what happens, then just look away from this and you won't have the ending spoiled for you. Otherwise, that's what you're watching. Just a cautionary spoiler warning. Now anyway, only people who were with my channel from the very beginning or have waded through all of my videos back to my very beginning videos will know what this is about. I actually started out doing these on my channel. This was one of the very first things I ever uploaded. This series was all about earning PlayStation 3 Platinum trophies, and that's a special trophy you get for earning every other trophy in the game. I'd record myself getting the last trophy or two before I earned the Platinum, and then I put it together into a little video, and in the background I put some music that was from the game's soundtrack, and it wasn't that great because all the footage was either recorded off screen with a camera or with my Dazzle capture card later on, neither of which looked great. I've only done one in proper HD with my HD PVR, my Horpar Colossus capture card, and that was Terminator Salvation. Since then, I really haven't got any other Platinum trophies. I have lost my habit of playing games purely for trophies. Possibly a good thing, not worrying about trophies. I mean, they're still fun to get for me, but it was nowhere near the almost addiction I had to earning these things back a year or two ago. I no longer just buy games for the sole purpose of getting trophies, and if I don't enjoy the game, I'm not going to grind it out for some easy trophies. I'm going to play whatever I want regardless of them, and if the game is good enough to warrant me grinding it out for the extra trophies towards the Platinum, then sure, I'll still do it. Modern Warfare 3 was one of them. Now you're probably wondering why I'm saying that, considering I moan about Modern Warfare 3 a lot. I am somebody who actually broke their disc, if you've seen that commentary I put up. No, that's the multiplayer component I don't really enjoy. The single player, however, was actually really fun. It's one of the most underrated sections of Call of Duty, I have to say. The campaign, although the story is a little bit stupid and plot holes here and there, it's just a fun, short campaign to play through. Spec Ops really isn't that bad either. It's got absolutely zero replay value, but while you're doing it, it's fun. And in Modern Warfare 3 there's no multiplayer trophies in sight apart from a co-op Spec Ops trophy, I think there is. But really nothing to do with the multiplayer section of the game, so you can just play through single player and just enjoy it, and that's what I did. When I got the game back on Christmas 2011, I was a Christmas noob, as some people decided to call me, but I got it for Christmas, and the first thing I did was try out the multiplayer component, because I really like Call of Duty multiplayer, or I really liked the previous Call of Duty's multiplayer, so I wanted to try out the new one, and sure enough, it was really fun. It was back in the day when nobody was really amazing at the game, nobody was using ridiculously overpowered class setups, and most importantly, it was running pretty smoothly because I wasn't getting chosen as host because I had pretty poor internet back then, didn't get my fibre optic internet until later in the year, so I didn't have to deal with the horrendous frame rate that comes with it. The next thing I did, however, was play through the campaign. Now the campaign is very short, and I think I actually finished it on Boxing Day. I put in about 5.5 hours into the campaign. Now that really is nothing. I'll cut them some slack because the multiplayer has given me over 300 hours worth of game time over the year. But if you're playing Call of Duty for single player only, and I really don't know why you would be, but if you are, don't buy it at launch, because 5.5 hours does not justify the 40 quid or however much it was brand new. 5.5 hours is way too short for a single player experience. So that's what I was saying at the beginning. It's fun, but it is very short. So once I'd blasted through the campaign, finished it off, picked up quite a few trophies from that. They're all just campaign related ones. Finish this mission, finish that mission, etc. And then you get one for finishing it on regular. And then of course the next step is to go through on Veteran. Now I'm not one of those people who plays the game on hardest difficulty the first time through, because I've played enough games to know that hard difficulty is hard for a reason. It's not going to be that much fun. It's for people who really want to test themselves against the game, and if you just want to experience the storyline, playing on normal or even easy is the way to go. I normally stick on normal. Most of the time it's a happy balance of being hard enough to give you some sort of challenge, but being easy enough to stop the game getting really infuriating and making me not want to play the game. Veteran is arguably one of those difficulties. It's nothing compared on the older games. Veteran, World at War was a real challenge, and anybody that says otherwise, you're lying, to be honest. There was just so much grenade spam, it was unbelievable. I know one of my friends claimed that he got through it very, very easily. I really don't think he did. Just the amount of times you got killed in World at War was unbelievable. Just grenades everywhere, enemies that would only fire at you. They had a thing that I like to call OMOTS, Only Man on Team Syndrome, and it's where the AI acts like you're the only person in the battlefield. They completely ignore the other enemies and just shoot at you regardless of how far away, regardless if you're peeking through a 2-inch wide gap between cover. They'll still cap you straight in the face, ignoring everyone else on your team. So that was pretty amazing, if you want to call it that. Pretty infuriating as well. Modern Warfare 3 was nothing like that. It was okay difficulty. I'd say probably 7 out of 10. There were a couple of points where enemies just piled in. There were a couple of choke points that were really difficult to get through. But most of the time, you could just avoid enemies, or the AI would help you. They do get a little bit stubborn sometimes. There's obviously points where they wait for you to progress. So it's up to you to clear out the enemy, and then you have to push up. That makes them move forward as well, and it makes the game progress. What you need to learn is where the checkpoints are. So you're basically trying to sprint from checkpoint to checkpoint. That way, if you die, you're still further ahead than you were previously. Modern Warfare 3 is mainly consistent in terms of checkpoints. However, there are a couple of points that are a little bit stupid in how the checkpoints are laid out. They seem to think that you'd actually get through it a lot quicker than you really do. So in most places you'll only be set back a couple of minutes, if that. In other places, because of how it works, and you have to be very, very careful, you're probably playing like 15-20 minutes of game time, only to die and go back. Now, that's not loads of game time, admittedly, but when you're dying repeatedly, it does add up pretty quickly. So there were some levels that took a very, very long amount of time to do. So that's one of the things you have to pick up and learn just by playing checkpoint locations. Other things really apply to all Call of Duty games or Veteran. You need to learn where the best covers are. Some covers enemies will still shoot through, if it's just like some flimsy wood. Even though you've broken line of sight, they still know where you are on that difficulty, and they will shoot straight through it. Prone really does help as well. Gets you into cover more, enemies won't be able to hit you as easily. Already talked about pushing up to make your allies move forward. The other thing is special grenades like flashes or smoke grenades. That really helps get the enemies out of your face. They're really distracted by the bursts of light, or they can't see you through the smoke, and that way you get a real advantage over them. Explosives like noob tubes or the XM25 are pretty effective as well. The grenades I didn't find were that effective because the enemies, they usually have fairly good reaction times, and if they land near them, they do throw them away. So you either have to cook them or just hope it lands somewhere where they won't pick it up in time. The auto aim is definitely the best help in this game. It hasn't got hit markers. Black Ops 2 I know has hit markers in single player. Modern Warfare 3 still doesn't, so you can't tell specifically when you're hitting people, which is, I think, is probably a little bit better. It's weird having played multiplayer not to see the hit markers come up, but most single player games don't do hit markers. I know Battlefield 3 did, and it made it very, very easy. You could just blast through cover or throw grenades, and you knew when you'd hit people, you knew where people are without even seeing them. But auto aim can be abused to help you find people. You can see when the aim snaps onto people instead of following where you're aiming. So if you just keep hitting aim down sight, if you've got a rapid fire aimbot controller, I think they call it, although it's really not. If you got one of them, then obviously it's going to be really easy for you. Otherwise, just hitting L1, if you've got a fairly decent trigger finger, you can do it. Same within like Nazi zombies on Black Ops. It just aims straight onto people, and you can tell where they are, and when you stop snapping onto them, you know they're dead, or they're out of the way enough not to cause you a problem. As with the other Call of Duties, as well as the basic finish campaign on various difficulty trophies, there's also some different skill related trophies. You have to do certain things in certain levels. To be honest, if you look up the guide and check out the best places to do them, World at War, and I know I keep going back to World at War, but honestly, for me, it was the most difficult Call of Duty to platinum so far, because I've done World at War, Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, partway through Black Ops as well. World at War had a lot harder skill related trophies, like the one where you had to assassinate the guy that you're supposed to shoot with a sniper with a pistol. That was an absolute mission, and so was shooting down all the zeros in Black Cats. Modern Warfare 3 had nothing as ridiculous as that. They were pretty easy to pick up. Intel as well, as with most Call of Duties, they all share the same sort of trophy list, to be honest. The Intel, I found a few playing through normally. I did use a guide and I picked up the rest. You probably saw me pick up the final Intel and earn that trophy in this playthrough, because I did pick up the very last couple in this mission on Veteran. That's pretty much all I need to say about single player, which is good. Ties in nicely with the game ending off there. That is the finale. The next thing I did was Spec Ops. Now, in Modern Warfare 3, Spec Ops has a rank that you go up, and you earn points from Spec Ops missions and from Spec Ops Survival for this. However, it does go up really, really slowly, and I actually found the best way was to grind this out in a Spec Ops mission called Flood the Market, I believe. There's a beginning section where you're in a car, you got some grenade launchers, and shooting the cars kills all the people inside, and you get a lot of points because you get multi-kills pretty much every time. So you just keep repeating the beginning of that. That's how I got up from, I think, about 42 up to 50. It was quite a lot of playthroughs I had to do, but I did get there fairly soon, and it was a lot faster than just playing Spec Ops Survival or something. You needed to reach rank 50 to unlock everything in Spec Ops Survival, and then you have to buy everything. You don't have to do it all in one game, but keeping track of what things you had actually bought and what things you hadn't actually proved quite difficult. I found it very tricky. I went through, I thought I'd bought everything, and then I thought the trophy had glitched because I was convinced that I'd bought everything, but the trophy still didn't pop up, so I had to go through again, buy things. Eventually I got it just by chance. The missions themselves, they were actually pretty tricky in places. I did most of them solo. The only ones I didn't do solo were the ones that you were forced to do co-op in, and there were a couple of other ones that me and Tom, the Stack Nerd, we did them together, but mostly I found it a lot easier, surprisingly, to do it solo because I wasn't relying on someone to not screw it up at the last minute. The last mission in particular stands out as being very, very difficult. Like loads of gas canisters come down and you can't breathe in them, and there's RPGs and soldiers all over this rooftop. You have to sit there and defend this transmission. Occasionally it gets blocked, you have to run out into the open and restart it. That really stood out as a very, very tricky mission. There were some other ones that caused some issues, but that I just remember playing that over and over. Single player, multiplayer, it was just so infuriating to do. I've never been more relieved to finish off a Spec Ops mission. Eventually I did it. I was rewarded with the trophy because it was the final one to do. That was just a real relief to get that done. The very final things I did were Spec Ops Survival. I had to buy all the weapons out of the box, which you just saw me do, and then I needed to get everything out of the air support box, and the final thing I needed was the sleight of hand perk care package, and that's because it's unlocked at level 50, and obviously I'd only just reached level 50. So finally got that, bought it, called it in, and that was the very last trophy I needed, and I unlocked the platinum there and then. Pretty fun platinum to go for. A couple of really annoying points. Spec Ops missions were a bit irritating, bits of the campaign, but otherwise Modern Warfare 3 single player is a very underappreciated game. Really, really fun, and I'm glad I got the platinum for it. That's pretty much all I need to say. You're going to see me picking up the platinum in just a little bit. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, think about leaving a rating, comment any of your opinions and questions, and if you want to keep up to date with my videos and you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe. Going to be tons of Black Ops 2 content coming when it releases in a couple of weeks' time. So that's all. I shall see you next time.
Ready for delivery. Care package on the way.